You create your own reality. Welcome to Living Seth.
Physical death is not an error written into your biology, nor is it a penalty imposed by an external judge or a structural failure of a fragile biological machine. You do not simply break down and return, like an exhausted traveler slumping back through a door because you could no longer stand the journey. You choose the entry. You sustain every single breath through conscious and subconscious intent, and you choose the exit when the physical container no longer serves as an effective medium for your expansion. The body is an ongoing manifestation of your current focus, a physical projection maintained moment by an immense, vibrant field of energy that never rests. When the physical body wears down, it is not because life force ran out like fuel in a tank. It is because your primary focus has begun to shift, its allegiance toward dimensions of experience that can no longer be translated into flesh and blood. You do not die because you are defeated by time or disease. Disease and aging are the physical patterns you construct to create a meaningful, structured exit strategy, a framework that allows the ego to gradually loosen its grip on this specific physical frequency. You came into this physical reality to experience the unique conditions of time, space, mass, and cause and effect. You created a temporary self, an egoic perspective, to act as the probe through which a vast, multidimensional consciousness could touch the dense texture of physical matter. But the physical flesh is an intensely specialized instrument. It is designed for focus, for limitation, for the deliberate narrowing of awareness so that specific lessons of direct creation can be learned. Every thought, every emotion, every belief you hold projects itself immediately as cellular reality. When you have fulfilled the intent of a given life, or when the beliefs you hold in that life have reached a point where they can no longer generate new growth within the boundaries of physical matter, the underlying identity begins to draw its core vitality backward into the deeper matrix of the self. The physical form begins to lose its coherence, not because death is an enemy, but because the consciousness that sustained it is already looking elsewhere, expanding into larger field arrangements. You do not return to a source as a defeated fragment seeking rest. You transition because you have exhausted the creative possibilities of that specific physical gesture. The physical realm is a stage where you act out inner states of consciousness, transforming intangible beliefs into concrete objects and events. When the act comes to a natural close, holding on to the physical form would be like forcing an artist to paint forever on a single canvas until the paint turns to thick, impenetrable mud. The transition called death is the clearing of the canvas, an intentional decision by the greater identity to drop the heavy density of physical perception. When consciousness detaches from the physical body, it does not step into a void, nor does it automatically dissolve back into an undifferentiated sea of spirit. The individual identity is preserved in its entirety, enriched by every experience, every feeling, every memory, and every perspective formed during the physical lifetime. You do not lose yourself. You gain the full realization of who you were all along while holding the human story you just finished crafting. The process of leaving the body is as natural and deliberate as waking up from an intensely immersive dream. While dreaming, you believe entirely in the landscape, the challenges, the time constraints, and the emotional stakes of the dream world. When you wake, you do not mourn the disappearance of the dream room. You simply recognize that your operational field of awareness has broadened to include the room in which your bed resides. In the same way, physical death is the stepping out of a single physical coordinate into the spaciousness of your larger reality. You do not return merely to reset or to be wiped clean. You transition to synthesize what you have learned into a new foundation for future creation. The belief that death is a tragic end or a mysterious, dark abyss is simply an illusion created by the ego's intense focus on the physical sensory apparatus. The ego assumes that because physical eyes can no longer see and physical ears can no longer hear, nothing remains. But physical eyes and ears were only ever translators, converting field frequencies into sight and sound. So you could operate on this specific plane. The consciousness that animated those eyes remains fully aware, possessive of senses far more acute, far more flexible, and far less constrained than the physical organs ever were. As disengagement occurs, the belief systems held during life continue to construct the immediate post-transition experience. If a person leaves the body believing in a specific afterlife structure, they will temporarily project that exact structure to ease their own transition, demonstrating once again that consciousness is always the creator of its own reality. Slowly, as the realization dawns that physical limitations have been discarded, the individual learns to navigate by thought and intent directly, bypassing the slow, dense mechanics of physical cause and effect. You do not die to cease existing. You die because existence is inherently dynamic, and no single physical identity can contain the infinite, expanding nature of your true being without eventually reaching a state of creative saturation. The ultimate reason for physical death is expansion, the eternal drive of consciousness to know itself through infinite variations of form and action. You are not a solitary soul trapped inside a biological shell, struggling through a single life to earn a ticket back to a static heaven or an endless loop of corrective reincarnations. You are an individualized focus of all that is, an active, self-aware creator exploring a specific reality set. When a lifetime concludes, the energetic construct of that life is not discarded, forgotten, or absorbed into a collective soup where your unique individuality vanishes. Every personality you have ever been, every version of yourself that exists across probabilities, remains alive, distinct, and continuously evolving within the multidimensional architecture of your total self. You do not return to a starting point like a token reset on a game board. You step upward into a higher tier of awareness, where you can perceive the full scope of what you built during that physical life. From this broader vantage point, you see every choice you made, every emotion you generated, and every physical event you manifested, not as mistakes or triumphs to be judged, but as magnificent patterns of energy you successfully sculpted out of raw consciousness. Death is the grand threshold where the artist steps back from the canvas to view the finished piece, recognizing how it fits into the larger gallery of their eternal work. Beyond the physical plane, new fields of action await, fields where thought creates instantly, where spatial distance is irrelevant, and where identity can express itself through multidimensional forms that physical matter could never support. You leave the physical world because you are ready to construct new realities, to take the wisdom gained through the friction of matter and apply it to higher orders of creation. The physical universe is merely one school among endless systems of existence, one temporary playground in an infinite field of conscious realization. You do not die to escape life. You die because life within you is too vast, too creative, and too powerful to remain forever locked inside a single physical frame. You step forward fully aware, fully individual, and completely free, continuing the eternal journey of self-discovery through infinite forms of your own choosing.
You create your own reality. Welcome to Living Seth.